Many of you have known him, told me you knew him since he was little, but as you know now, he's an internationally renowned facilitator, educator, mediator. Through his Civic Life Foundation in Chicago, he's helped more than 15,000 at-risk kids become community leaders. He's an amazing person working for nonviolent social change and to improve the quality of our world. And I asked him if he would come and talk a little bit about his life with the Peterborough Library and the way in which libraries have impacted those people he's worked with. So, Adar.
It's the 1920s, and a young girl is walking home from school. She is a minority in a country with a difficult history with minorities. She's Jewish and she's in Iran. Her family's poor. They sleep all together in one room around a kerosene stove. And what this young girl wants, more than anything in the world, is to learn to read and to be able to write. And learning to do those things is not a given for her in her environment and in her conditions. And this day, walking home from school, she discovers on the side of the road a small pencil, and her heart leaps at the sight of this pencil. And just as she's getting ready to pick it up, she also discovers that the crowd of kids who so frequently torment her has discovered her. And she would usually run, and sometimes does outrun them, but she can't today because of the pencil. So she stands on it. She covers it with her foot. And the group approaches, and they do what they do. And she manages somehow to endure that entire session of verbal and physical abuse without dislodging the pencil from beneath her foot. The whole time. The punching, the kicking, the names. And finally, when they're through, and the last one is out of sight, she looks down, she bends low, and she collects her treasure. I can imagine her that night, awake, writing, practicing her letters by whatever light that kerosene stove would give off, with her family asleep around her. For me, this story is about knowing, somehow, deep down, what we absolutely need, and doing whatever it takes to get it, and to protect it. The young girl in the story is my grandmother, and I take her story with her everywhere I go. And in my work around the world with governments and countries in conflict, corporations in transition, education and healthcare systems in crisis, everywhere I go, wherever I do my work, I demand that people answer the question, in what do we believe? What are we willing to risk for? What is the outcome, the achievement, the result that we care so much about, either for ourselves or for others, that we're willing to encounter great difficulties to accomplish it? These are difficult questions, and I've found in my work that when we really visit with them, if we really confront these questions, their answers, when we find them, make everything clear pretty quickly. The choices we make, the strategies we pursue, all of that will fall in place once we've answered this fundamental question. So I grew up in Peterborough, in the Elizabeth Room. And I'm very proud to have grown up here. And Peterborough has been with me everywhere I've gone. And after 20 years, I've returned with my family, with a young daughter some of you may have seen about, including in the Elizabeth Room. We're there all the time. I was very excited to be involved and to be included because it feels like a deeply personal investment was made in my life by this town and by the library. what is a library? It's a place to learn. It's a place to find and build community. It's a place to find and get what you need. This is something that has a generational impact that's really difficult to measure. I'm one example of what can happen in a public library. The time I'm spending with my 4-year-old daughter is the next link in that chain. But in a global sense, and considering the scope of history, I want to applaud and show my gratitude for the commitment you're making to the idea and the reality of public libraries. So thanks very much for having me.
I became a public librarian because I really believe that public libraries can change lives. We are focusing on the Power 3, that makes a great public library. First of all, a public library it's open and safe, and that's what we communicate. We're a trusted resource, so people already think of us as that open and safe space. Today, we're not accessible. Not everyone can get into our building, so that's one of the improvements that's coming. Secondly, as Adar was saying, we're a connection point. We want to be known as the place that can connect you to the resources, tools, services, programs, and ideas, and other people. Really connecting people to people is a big part of what we do. And then lastly, what makes us unique is that we have a staff that's trained, that is dedicated, and that specializes in this type of community work. So we have the last two pieces. We still need that accessible building that has the proper spaces and technology that a modern public library really requires. I thank you all so very much for coming and for your support.
The fundraising that has been done for this building so far is remarkable. 8 people, 8 volunteers have raised more than $4.6 million, which is incredible, and managed to canvass the community in such a way that we had an incredible record-breaking turnout to pass the warrant for the $3 million town bond. It's a reflection not only of the dedication of those 8 people and the dedication of all these people in the room, but what that means to all those people who turned out for the town meeting, what it means to the community. It is what we believe in and what we want to protect and what we want to save. I'm also amazed that this will be what we think is probably the first carbon neutral public library in the country. So it will not only be a place where people can come to investigate the world of ideas, but it'll also be a place that demonstrates forward-looking ideas. We've called you together tonight for 3 reasons. First of all, to really say thank you. We could not have gotten here without all of you and all the people who are in Florida and Croatia and all the other places who couldn't be here. Don't worry, we're going to reach out to them. There's a reason why Eddie is videotaping. And then to bring you up to date on the fundraising. We are 90% of the way there. We are $700,000 shy of the mark right now. And we are beginning to face some deadlines now when some of the grants that we have will expire at the end of this calendar year by December 31st if we're not able to start construction. And we really want, therefore, to get over this last hurdle. So we're turning to our friends and those we know love the library and support the library to ask you 2 things. One, can you make a deeper commitment to this project? And the second thing we're going to ask is, who else should we be talking to? Do you know other individuals who love the library, who support it, who understand it's something worth fighting for, with whom we should speak? This is a really important project. We need you, and we need you now. In order to continue this library and keep it strong so that it's supported by the people, protected by the people, and for the benefit of all of the people of Peterborough and the surrounding region.